ESPNU Campus Connection Week.
I'm your ESPNU Campus Connection correspondent for the day.
Bringing you campus life through the eyes and voice of the student.
Instead of doing the mascot, I'm out here today in front of the camera.
It's been so much fun out here. I'm really enjoying this.
This was a shot about 3 hours before game time outside the Maravich Assembly Center. Coming 1,000 from the Tiger faithful getting pumped up for tonight's ball game and their last non-conference game against tonight Xavier of Ohio. Tonight, the LSU Tigers playing host to the 13th ranked Xavier Musketeers at the Pete Maravich Assembly Center. Hi, everybody. Ron Franklin along with Fran Frischella, and welcome to Baton Rouge. Now, we are in the home of the SEC team, the LSU Tigers, but quite frankly, tonight, the story is Xavier. Number 13 in the country. They're 16-2. And Fran, the only two teams that have beaten the Xavier Ball Club are Butler and Duke. Two very formidable opponents.
You're right, Ron. And it was supposed to be a rebuilding year for an Elite Eight team from a year ago. But at Xavier, you don't rebuild. They've built a great tradition here of great coaches and great players. And quite frankly, Trent Johnson, the first-year coach at LSU, would love to mirror that tradition, the tradition of defense, rebounding, and toughness.
Okay, take us through the Star Watch for this evening.
We talk about tradition, and Xavier has had its share of big players. Go on to the NBA's junior Jason Love, really playing well in conference play, an outstanding defender as well. And Marcus Thornton, one of the best scorers in the SEC, and someone the NBA scouts that are here tonight will take a long, hard look at.
Well, Fred, let's take a look at the visitors from the Queen City of Cincinnati. It's going to be B.J. Raymond, Terrell Holloway, who's only a freshman at point, Derrick Brown, C.J. Anderson, and Jason Love. And for the homestanding Tigers, they will start this way. Marcus Thornton, Bo Spencer, Garrett Temple, Tasman Mitchell, and Chris Johnson. LSU 15-3, 3-1 in SEC play. So here in Baton Rouge tonight, Fran and I were talking just prior to doing the opening of this show. This really has the feeling of tournament time, particularly with a team from the A-10 in Xavier, and of course LSU from the Southeastern Conference. Really nice matchup.
It's unusual, Ron, for late January for a team like Xavier to go on the road, especially to a hostile environment. But they have made their program based on their non-conference play, as well as being one of the dominant teams in the Atlantic 10.
Well, the season comparison, Xavier 5-0 on the road, and for LSU 14-0 home record, so obviously something's got to give. The officials for tonight, the referee is Mike Roberts, and the two umpires, Mike Eaves and James Breeding. Ball is in the air, and the tap goes to the backcourt. It'll be Xavier on offense first.
LSU man-to-man. Xavier is an inside-out team. They will try to establish something down low.
With some hard screens being set right now, as Love is way outside. Shot clock about to go inside of 10. And along the baseline, a reversal on the shot. Wouldn't go. Rebounded. LSU. And it's Tasman Mitchell.
Right away, Ron, you can see LSU is a much better defensive team than they were in the month of November and December.
Marcus Thornton.
Watch out. This is a guy that can score in bunches. He transferred from Kilgore, now it seems.
And the coaches and even opposing coaches say what's also dangerous about him, he has added defense to his repertoire.
And absolutely, that's what every one of these Tigers has found out with their new coach. You play hard, you play D, or you sit with him.
Nice play inside. Shot wouldn't go. 1 and out as the rebound is ripped down by Chris Johnson. Left alone. Three-pointer. Not there. Holloway of the long carry. Holloway now is a point, but he wears 52. We'll talk more about that as the evening goes on.
You think he's an offensive lineman?
There we go. They break the scoring ice, does Xavier?
Well, Terrell Tutu Holloway, as he's known back on the playgrounds of Hempstead, New York, one of those New York area point guards with no fear.
That was your New York background coming up there.
Yes, it was.
You said area, and that's what it is, isn't it? I mean, that's how it's pronounced. Mitchell off the mark with the shot, and pushing it up is Anderson. Brown, the lob inside. Brown to Southpaw, worked it into the middle, put it on the floor one time too many. Stolen. Temple is the man who knocked it away, and a foul will be called on Holloway.
Well, first 4 possessions for LSU on the defensive end. They've done a good job of challenging twice, causing a turnover. Watch this, Ron. Trent Johnson not going to like that. I-10 opens up for the young freshman from New York.
A lot more open than we've seen in the last couple of days.
Yes, we have.
At least around their ripple.
It's amazing, Ron. Both teams really mirror each other. Coaches who believe in defensive rebounding.
Falling away on the jumper, not there. And quickly, Xavier brings it up court. Derrick Brown on the rebounding end, scores, and an opportunity for a three-point play, and a foul is going to go against Johnson.
That was a terrific move by the junior from Dayton. Watch him get all the way to the rim, and he's got a long wingspan. Able to get it up off the glass, a little bump and a foul. And good sportsmanship, tries to hold up Chris Johnson from falling over.
And let me correct, they say officially Marcus Thornton will pick up the foul.
Okay.
I thought it was Johnson, as you did.
So this guy, Derrick Brown, redshirted. He's a 4th-year junior. He's one of those guys that at some point, Ron, will play in the NBA, very much like James Posey and Aaron Williams, 4-year guys.
You know, you saw the concentration just now with Derrick Brown. And I was interested in watching the shoot-around today. When it came time to shoot free throws, Sean Miller, even as young as he is, he said, okay, everybody just remember one thing as the ball is touched out of bounds last by LSU. Remember, I want the same focus that you will have in this ball game tonight. All the laughter, all the good times, everything went away, didn't it?
It did, and you know what? Sean Miller of Pittsburgh shot in the high 80s for his career. And their team has struggled at times this year from the line. That's just making sure on the road you make your free throws. It really gives you an opportunity to steal a win.
And I don't mean to insinuate that the rest of the shoot-around was in disarray, because it certainly was not. It was a well-coached shoot-around, but I mean they got extremely serious when it came to free throw shooting time.
It's a good point. When you're 16-2, you're always looking for things that your team can do better.
Any edge, aren't you? Turnaround jumper. Boy, nice touch right there by Love.
Ron, we talked about him in the Star Watch. Now, he is not Xavier's best player, but he's typical of the way guys improve in their program. Tough shot.
Oh, that's really tough, and he knocks it down. That is Garrett Temple, the senior out of right here in Baton Rouge.
Garrett Temple, who is from a family here. Collis, of course, who was the first African-American player at LSU in the early 70s. Really known as a defensive player throughout his career, but has been a great team leader. And as we talked about, Ron, already a graduate of LSU and working on a master's in business.
McLean in the ball game. Jamel, a sophomore out of Hampton, Virginia.
The big fella. Can he freeze?
Boy, freeze off the bench. And I'm anxious to see him in person. I've read and heard so many things that for a freshman, a very, very tough-minded kid.
Very much so. Look at that.
Stolen, Freeze steps in front, he gets the turnover, and then he, in turn, throws a turnover. And Jackson, for Xavier, comes up with it.
DJ Raymond, boy, I'll tell you, this is a veteran team, Ron.
All of a sudden, a quiet has kind of come over this packed house here tonight when the visiting team comes in and hits you in the chops for the 12-4 lead. It gets everyone's attention. Let's take a timeout right now. The Musketeers in rhythm. Over on the sideline, Trent Johnson on the other end. wanted a timeout to talk things over with his ball club, because you could tell at their shoot-around today, he knew they were going to have their hands full, although they are at home. This is a very, very good Xavier ball club. Good defense. Nice job offensively to score it.
That's good coaching, Ron. They got Thornton, a big, strong guard, posted up right out of the timeout.
Here's Raymond. Jackson passed up the jumper. Into traffic, tried to finger roll it, couldn't get it to go, and it comes back. Anderson misses the shot and has his own follow.
C.J. Anderson, the transfer from Manhattan. Now, if you're at home watching, it doesn't have to hit the rim in college basketball as long as it looks like a shot attempt. That's why he caught that ball, laid it in.
And Anderson, one of those guys, C.J., the coaches saying this is nothing against Manhattan. That's a turnover against the Tigers. They say when he came over from Manhattan, he was horrible defensively, and now he's 180 degrees the other way. So let's take a timeout. As we go to break, C.J. Anderson, watch the hustle. Gets his own follow. 14-6, Musketeers.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Twisted Tea. True iced tea taste in a hard tea.
Fourteen to 6, Musketeers on top. Let's go back and look at that play by the 7-foot freshman Kenny Freeze a moment ago.
Take a look at this, Ron. Now, this is a young man that only plays 15 minutes a game, but Sean Miller called him probably the best recruit they've signed. Now, he's 7 foot 250. Take a look at the smooth jump hook. And as we were talking about off camera, Ron, very similar to Cole Aldridge.
Exactly.
In that he's only playing 15 minutes a game, but he's got good players ahead of him. He will be an outstanding big man. He'll play in the NBA someday.
He, just as Cole Aldridge did last year with KU, goes to practice every day and has big bodies who are very talented banging on him all the time.
That's exactly right.
Freeze partially blocking on that play. Back outside, three-pointer is there, and he was fouled. Post pitcher. Are they going to say 2?
I think that might be Holloway's second, Ron. And that's a...
It was a 3-point shot and an opportunity for a 4-point play. And you're right on both cases. Holloway picks up the foul to his second.
Well, this young man, Bo Spencer, I talked to coaches around the SEC, and they say he may be the most improved player in the conference. If there's a weakness this year, Ron, in Xavier's situation, is I take a look clearly behind the line, and the freshman knocks him on the arm. Xavier is not deep at the point.
And that means that number 12, Brad Redford, out of Frankenmuth, Michigan, comes into the lineup. Alley-oop. Nobody at the back door. And Derrick Brown was a mile high. 16-10.
Every team in America has that backdoor lob versus the zone, and credit Xavier for recognizing it on the very first possession. LSU goes zone.
Thornton falling away, tough shot, put up an air ball, and it's Freeze again. And ever since Freeze came on the floor, he has made an impact, and nobody, absolutely nobody, picked up Dante Jackson. And you say, Ron, you called him Dante. That's how he wants it pronounced, not Dante.
He's from a little town in Ohio called Greenfield, Ohio, where he played at McLean High School for Rick Van Meter, who's been there for many years.
Talk about something. With Jackson, he started, the first 12 games at point, but he's not really a point.
No, and they lost a brilliant point guard, Ron, and Drew Lavender, a guy we watched for 2 years out at Oklahoma. And then they thought they may get Jordan Crawford eligible from Indiana. That didn't happen, so this is probably the one Achilles heel. Young guards.
Spencer, too hard off the back iron. Nice job by Johnson rebounding. Takes it up, misses the follow, and Brown with the rebound and the outlet pass. And at the other end in transition, the ball is rolled over. Turnover, Xavier.
C.J. Anderson's a guy you want the ball in his hands in the open court because he gets to the basket so effortlessly.
I know one of the things that Trent Johnson said in his scouting report is that we have to sprint back all 5 to keep them from getting easy transition hoops. Shot is missed, rebounded by Xavier. That's C.J. Anderson.
Jackson's a guy that scored 2,400 points in high school as a scorer. So that early season, him playing the point was not a comfortable role necessarily.
19 on the shot clock. The ball will stay with the Musketeers. Raymond comes in. Martin comes in for LSU. Terry Martin, a senior, transfer out of Texas Tech, and played his high school ball in Monroe, Louisiana.
You got a chance to see the early part of his career, didn't he?
Yep, sure did.
He's a guy that has been in Trent Johnson's doghouse, but is starting to come out of it because starting to understand that if he doesn't play on the defensive end, he won't play. But to his credit, as a senior, he's starting to get the message.
Well, Trent suspended him for 4 ball games, and his attitude was much improved when he came away from the suspension. But that's the kind of coach Trent Johnson is. Going to be his way or no other way. Love. Beautiful left-handed hook. Gets it.
Ron, that's not a move he could have made even last year as a sophomore. The Xavier team is made up of guys that were not necessarily McDonald's All-American times. Look at that quick double.
Going quick whip pass over to the side. Three-pointer. And just off the bench, we were just talking about Terry Martin. Shot it from almost the levee over on the Mississippi.
Terry Martin will play defense and shoot open shots. He'll get a lot of playing time.
Open 3 off the mark. And I'm not sure that Sean Miller was overly enamored with that quick 3-point shot. And in fact, C.J. Anderson prepares to check back into the lineup for the Musketeers. 7-point lead, Xavier. 11:20 to play first half. We are at the Maravich Assembly Center in Baton Rouge. 1 and out on this round. Derrick Brown with the rebound and off to Raymond. Along the baseline, ball is stolen. Johnson, outlet pass, they got numbers. Left side wing, Spencer scored, and he was fouled by the freshman.
Boy, what a terrific pass by Marcus Thornton to recognize that he had the 2-on-1 set up.
So as we go to break, one more look, the steal. There's Johnson, the outlet pass, and it's going to go over to Spencer on the left wing, and he is fouled by Redford.
I'm Jason Templin, standing inside the new Alex Box Stadium where the #1 ranked LSU baseball team begins play on the week of February 20th. The new $16 million facility began construction in fall of 2007. Replacing the 80-year-old Alex Box Stadium, the new box will seat 8,500 people, 700 more than the old box. Just 200 yards south, the new stadium will include suites, a press box, and 6,000 extra square feet of locker and meeting room space.
Hey, thanks, Jason, for a great look at the new baseball stadium here at LSU. ESPNU Campus Connection Week brings you campus life through the eyes and voice of the students. Here's a look at Jason sitting here at courtside, and you can get content just like his report from ESPNU on a daily basis. Ron Franklin, Fran Frischella coming to you from a sold-out house, the Pete Maravich Assembly Center. It's kind of cold and damp outside as Spencer misses that free throw, trying to make it a 3-point play. Great night to come in a warm arena and see a red-hot basketball game. And LSU has done a marvelous job. The Musketeers try to separate. LSU comes right back. Lob inside, Johnson. Nice defensive play.
Good scouting report defense. That's a bread-and-butter lob play for Xavier, but scouted out nicely. You're right, Ron.
Three-pointer Thornton this time.
Hey, this guy can put points up quick. He played at Kilgore Junior College in Texas. game as a junior and red hot right now. Not only did he average 19, but he averaged almost 22 in SEC play a year ago. Watch how quick that release is. And if you're Dante Jackson, you got to make this guy put it on the floor. That's a rhythm jump shot.
Well, they led by 20 a minute, or by 10 a minute ago, and they've cut it down to 2. A reminder, Big Monday continues on ESPN with a pair of really good games. First of all, 7 o'clock Eastern, number 10, the Golden Eagles of Marquette will take on number 19, Notre Dame. And then Fran and I will be in Stillwater, Oklahoma, as the Sooners, number 5 in the country, come calling against the Oklahoma State Cowboys. And for a new head coach with the name of Ford, it's his first Bedlam encounter for real. That'll be fun to watch. ESPN Big Monday, brought to you by Bud Light.
And Travis Ford, who played his basketball in Kentucky, has made some history on this court. I think he was on that team that came back from 30 points down to beat LSU.
You're exactly right.
Yep.
That's going to be a foul called on Spencer as he reached in and grabbed the arm of the player of the basketball.
You know, Ron, to amplify your point, I feel exactly like you. LSU took that first couple of blows early.
Yes.
And I think they probably got shaken up a little bit, but since then, they've battled back, made some baskets.
Back out to Brown. Plenty of time on the shot clock. Now Anderson outside. Ball is blocked. I think that Martin got a hand on it. And Johnson again. Johnson hasn't scored, but he has been everywhere defensively, rebounding and with defense.
You know, he's one of the best shot blockers in the SEC. He only weighs about 10.
And Martin a little flat on the shot. Two-pointer.
LSU, they've got 4 guys on the floor at any one time that can score points. The issue in the past was, would they guard?
Mitchell tied it up at the other end. Three-pointer on the way, and Derrick Brown says, let's quiet the crowd, and he does. Three-pointer.
You know, Ron, he only made 21 threes in his first 2 years. In fact, over 50% of his field goals were dunks. But that's an area he has really come on.
Spin move, almost impossible. There's Johnson rebounding the follow. The long, lanky one does really great work with a rebound and a follow.
Young man that played on the Final Four team, but play is not the operative word because he didn't get much time.
You know, it's interesting when you talk about Johnson, the former coaching staff here said they felt as though maybe they should have played him more as a sophomore, but they didn't. But his last 2 years, last year and now a part of this one, he's really come into his own.
And it's a good point, Ron. And Trent Johnson told us yesterday, and he complimented John Brady and the previous staff when he said, hey, if a couple of these guys didn't get hurt last year, I wouldn't be the head coach here. Look at that. Oh, skyscraper.
12-5 run by LSU in the last 3 minutes and 10 seconds. And this crowd is loving every moment of it. Stolen. Holloway, and he got hammered pretty hard by Spencer. And that's going to be the second foul on number 11, Bo Spencer, the sophomore, also out of right here in Baton Rouge.
That's one of those risk-reward plays if you're Bo Spencer, because Trent Johnson would rather have him on the floor instead of picking up foul number 2. But on the other hand, Trent Johnson is instilling a toughness with this basketball team, and that was a toughness play chasing down Holloway.
Interesting watching Trent today. He came down that tunnel the way he always does. He comes down about 60 miles an hour. The minute he gets there, he says, fellas, let's go to work. And everybody goes in motion. You know what this head coach wants. And he was the same way when he was at Stanford.
You know, I had a chance to go over to Iraq this summer and visit the troops. And if you put Trent Johnson in combat fatigues, he could be a general. I mean, he has that kind of demeanor. He really does. He is no nonsense, all business. They've seen him crack a couple smiles here in Baton Rouge, but
nice move inside, and he reversed it. And I'm not really sure how. Marcus Thornton Ron Franklin, Fran Frischella coming to you from a sold-out Pete Maravich Assembly Center in Baton Rouge. And it's back and forth, back and forth. We're tied at 24 as Freeze backs his man in very deep, and the 7-foot freshman scored.
How about the patience? He knew that Johnson was going to bite on the shot fake. And as soon as he gave him the little eyebrow look at the rim, Johnson went flying. That's a great play by Freeze.
Okay, this is like one of those good neighborhood brawls. You ought to go call your best friend if you think maybe they're not watching, because, wow, look at the turnaround jump ball right here. A thing of beauty by Mitchell. And each team, as they come down the floor, they say, okay, you can do that. We'll show you one better.
You're absolutely right, Ron. Great poise, great execution.
Jackson lost it out of bounds. They say it went off his foot. Tied at 26. The crowd is up and roaring here in Baton Rouge.
I told you, Ron, this guy Marcus Thornton, you're going to hear about him in June at the NBA draft, because this young guy can put points on the board.
Ryan Burns studio. Let's get you caught up to date on UConn and Notre Dame. Back and forth they go. Craig Ostry for 3 as UConn built a 9-point lead, but the Irish at home 45 straight. Who are you going to get it to? Who else but Luke Herringody? Look at Goody use the body down on the block, up and under. He has 24 points and 13 rebounds. It is a 2-point game in South Bend. Ron and Fran.
All righty, ours is tied. 7:04 left to play until halftime.
Tell you what, you need picture-in-picture tonight.
Mitchell, that ball partially blocked. The crowd wanted a foul, but I think Jamal McLean got just enough of it to deter the shot, keep it away.
You know, both teams really do a good job of playing with their length, not leaving their feet, and making the offensive players shoot over them in the paint.
Redford back in the ball game, and going to be a steal, whistle, and a foul on McLean, and a little bit of a frustration foul there on his part after losing the ball.
Well, and he better know where Garrett Temple is, because Garrett Temple is one of the best defenders in college basketball. A 4-year starter who started on a Final Four team. You see Sean Miller goes right to Derrick Brown. Ron, his freshman year, Garrett Temple really sent Duke home from the NCAA tournament by doing a wonderful job on J.J. Redick. It's a smart play.
Well, the crowd didn't like it, but Tasman Mitchell picks up the foul, and it's his second, and it was because of good defense on the part of the Musketeers. And the coach, Seth Miller, hopped up and applauded and said, very good job defensively. 3-pointer, Derrick Brown. Brown 2-pointer, I beg your pardon. Brown, what have you done for me lately? Just a whole lot. He's in double figures already.
And UPS going to have to pay for that extra promo. Guess they do a great job with the whiteboard.
There's Johnson again. Wow. And Johnson with a hand in his face from a 7-foot freshman. Took it right up over the top and scored.
You know, they had a young man a year ago, Anthony Randolph from Dallas, who wound up being a lottery pick at Golden State. But let's think about how much he would have improved under Trent Johnson this year.
Well, B.J. Raymond on that last shot. Lob inside, left all alone. And give a nice assist. And the score to Tasman Mitchell.
And Garrett Temple, not a point guard, but he leads LSU in assists. He's got a very good court awareness.
LSU on top, 30-28. About to go under 5 minutes to play first half. Freeze. Steps in, gets the shot away, and he scores it. Well, he's perfect. 3 for 3, right?
Well, I told you, Ron, you know, he reminds me so much of Cole Aldridge in that he doesn't have to be the go-to guy for Xavier this year as a freshman, but he's got tremendous ability.
Very quickly at the other end, Marcus Thornton. I'll tell you, we also got some guys that can catch and shoot real quick.
Yes, sir. Marcus Thornton, watching on tape, he's one of the best scorers I've seen all season long.
LSU again by 2. Here's Freeze. Turnaround jump hook. He's 4 for 4.
You know, Washington Huskies had a guy named Todd McCullough He played in the NBA for a while before injuries set him back. He's very similar to Todd McCullough.
At the other end, whoop, a missed shot. Hasn't happened very much in the last 6 or 7 minutes. Whistle and a foul away from the play.
You know, this is, you look at Xavier, you're looking at number 13 in the country. A team that knows how to win, particularly on the road. And as we watch LSU early, Ron, at 15-3, a team that is learning how to play in tough ball games. Last three wins in the SEC have been by an average of 24 points.
Boy, Temple all over the player. Inside, just was forgotten. After a great job defensively and just tying up Raymond, he just drifted along the baseline. Nobody picked him up.
Look at that.
Sean Miller tells his ball club, take it up quickly. And a foul headed to the hoop, and it looks as though, well, let's double check here. Well, White 14. It's Garrett Temple who picks up the foul, his first. That foul a moment ago on Johnson was his second. We'll take a timeout. 2-point lead, Musketeers.
Ryan Bird, Jay Williams. Coming up on the Dick's Sporting Goods halftime report, the Battle of Tennessee. It came down to the final shot. We'll tell you who took it and if they made it. And North Carolina State Kay Yow, after fighting cancer for 20 years, finally dies at the age of 66.
Welcome back to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Let's take a look at young Sean Miller coaching on the Musketeer sideline.
You know, this is a guy that was a tremendous point guard at Pittsburgh. He played with some great players. Played with son of a high school coach. His father, John, a longtime great coach at Black Hawk High School in Western Pennsylvania. Archie on the staff at Ohio State now, his brother. Tell you what, Ron, Jay Williams back in the studio. I don't know if he could keep up in a game like this. You know, Jay would have loved to play in this kind of ball game.
I'll tell you, this one is a fun, great one just to sit here and watch them go up and down. We've seen each team's best as the ball, that time, a little help from the official. The ball, they tried to throw it at the ankles of the LSU player. Missed, but it was picked up by Derrick Brown.
Interesting now, Holloway, the freshman, playing with 2 fouls. He's got to be careful.
3:13 is what he's got left to work with here to try to keep from picking up foul number 3. Here's Love.
I like this. Little continuity, slow the game down a little bit.
And a steal. Temple at the other end lost it and followed up. Great job of hustle by number 13, Terry Martin.
Well, you got to credit Terry Martin because, as I mentioned earlier, he was in Trent Johnson's doghouse, but what a lift he's given him off the bench.
Third foul on Johnson. And a reminder, the NBA on ABC continues tomorrow afternoon. A doubleheader, 12:30 Eastern, GMC NBA Countdown. The Mavericks take on the Celtics at 1 Eastern at 3:30. It's the Spar, the Spurs against the Lakers. NBA on ABC Sunday.
Tell you what, if there's a basketball game nearby, Ron, you'll usually find Chris Paul somewhere in the stands. Because he's with his buddy James Posey tonight, the former Xavier Musketeer great. And we understand David West resting his back in New Orleans. And
Chris, did we see him in Oklahoma City?
Always, all the time. He was always bringing guys to the game. One of the nicest guys in basketball. And you know the connection, Ron. Chris Paul, James Posey, David West all played for Skip Prosser, who did such a great job at Xavier and Wake Forest, a good friend, and we miss Skip.
Boy, do we ever.
We miss him all the time. So David, hope your back's feeling good. You're having a great year. Got to get those big guys back healthy.
Shot clock is at 12. Temple looking. Gives it to Warren, who's left alone, and it out won't go, and there's Freeze with a rebound. Freeze may have played a little bit more than his usual allotted time here in this first half. Redford left alone for three. Nope.
Now, the reason I said is because Brad Redford averaged 36 points a game a year ago in high school and once made 102 straight free throws and is shooting at a very high rate behind the arc this year, 49%.
Well, interesting, the fact that he became a really good outside shooter, because in Frankenmuth, Michigan, a small town, and he was like the tallest player on the club. As they drive the middle, won't go, and here comes numbers for Xavier. Now they settle it down, and Anderson says we'll reset. Well, here's our subject, and off the bat, Jackson left alone. He misses the three. Temple rebound. I'll complete that story on Redford in just a moment. As soon as we slow down and he gets the ball.
You know, it's interesting. They shot quick threes, but they have Kenny Freeze in the game right now, and he's got a decided advantage inside. Let's see if they go inside to him.
Oh, nice touch and roll right there. Gordon.
When he scored, he played for Scott Schumacher at Kilgore College over in East Texas. Got to be some good fishing over there, Ron.
All over the place, you bet. 36-36. 63 seconds left in what has been an action-packed first half.
See, I'm surprised they're not going inside to the big fella.
He's 4 for 4 on the night. 8 points for him. Clock running out. Did not touch the rim. Shot clock violation. LSU basketball. So 44 seconds on the game clock. Love will come back into the lineup. Anderson will come out to be Brown, along with B.J. Raymond. And who else do we have out there?
We've got Jason Love back. Anderson pretty much has.
Yeah, starting five back out there for the final 44 seconds of the half. Here's Temple. Off to Martin. Quick step, fouled. He'll go to the line for a couple, and it was Jackson who picked it up. And first personal foul on him. Big Monday continues on ESPN. A pair of games, 7 o'clock Eastern. It'll be Marquette taking on Notre Dame in South Bend, 9 o'clock. Number 5, the Sooners of Oklahoma against Oklahoma State. That, of course, is Bedlam. That's where Fran and I will be on Monday evening. That is an 8 o'clock Central Time start. Big Monday presented by Bud Light.
And Marquette remains undefeated in the Big East as they now hit the road to South Bend. Now you got Holloway back, Ron, with the 2 fouls. You got your point guard. You got Redford back who can shoot it. Let's take a look at what Xavier does here in this final possession.
Tigers with a 1-point lead. No shot clock. Game clock is at 15. Terrell Holloway looks back over at the bench. Sean Miller has given him the play that he wants to run, and he better get it going. Pressure outside. Holloway wanted Anderson. Nothing there. Desperation 3 off the mark, and on the follow, Brown was right in front, but he missed the putback. Tigers to a standing ovation. Head to the locker room. They were down by 10. They lead at the intermission by 1. Our halftime score, LSU 37 and Xavier 36. Now let's join Ryan Burr, Jay Williams, and Adrian Branch for the Dick's Sporting Goods halftime report. Gentlemen.
All right, Ron, so a 1-point game down in LSU. Welcome to the Dick's Sporting Goods halftime report. Ryan Burr, Jay Williams, and Adrian Branch. Game of the night in the Big East. UConn going to Notre Dame. 21 straight Big East games, 45 straight overall at the Joyce Center. And early on, a battle of the big men inside. We're tied at 20. Luke Herringody pulling out all the tricks.
Oh, that's beautiful. I played with a guy who shot the sky hook. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, that was pretty.
UConn down, but they start to run, and that was the difference, Jay.
Well, their guards started to push tempo, and guess what? Second half, they got noticed, and they started banging the ball down low.
Kemba Walker alley-oop to the beat for the throwdown, and UConn starting to pull away. More Kemba Walker, the freshman from distance. Book that. And 62-48, UConn starting to open it up. Remember now, this is a Notre Dame team that has not lost in the Big East. 21 straight and arguably the best conference in the nation. 1-point game at the half. Adrian, what's been the story in the second half?
Foot speed. Jay said it best. When you recognize now with Dyson and Kemba Walker, they got out and they started playing quick, and that's what it's all about, accentuating your assets, taking advantage of your quickness.
Well, you talk about also they started to really understand to bang the ball down low in the second half, giving the ball to the team to beat. They've out-rebounded Notre Dame 46-32. And also, you talk about Adrian has 16 rebounds. So when they're playing inside out, like we said before, that's the key to UConn being successful.
13 ranked teams would play today, but the main story would be off the court. North Carolina State women's coach Kay Yow died at the age of 66 after battling breast cancer for over 20 years. She won over 700 games at NC State, a gold medalist, the coach of the Olympic team. Pat Summit reflects on a great career and life.
She's just been a great friend to so many people, and obviously left her footprints all over the place with all the young kids that she has touched and molded, and she is a woman that had fought such a hard fight, but it was always about everybody else. It was never about Kay. Right now, it's hard. It's hard for all of us that, you know, had a relationship with Kay and just, you know what she's gone through, and she's suffered so much, and I just know now she's in a better place.
Here was a look at the legendary career of Kay Yow. Her 34 seasons at North Carolina State, the second longest tenured head coach in women's college basketball history. 737 career wins, rank her 6th all time. Took the Wolfpack to 20 NCAA tournaments, made 11 Sweet 16 appearances. Kay Yow dead at the age of 66.
It's a colossal ACC matchup on Wednesday Night Hoops.
Are you kidding me?
With an arsenal of weapons, Duke is once again among the nation's best. Waiting in the wings is Wake Forest, still reeling from a stunning upset.
Hey, the big question, can Duke's stifling defense contain Jeff Teague, the scorer whiz of Wake Forest?
Two of the ACC's finest collide on Wednesday Night Hoops, presented by Disney Parks. Duke Wake Forest, 7 p.m. on ESPN.
It'll be awesome, baby!
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lincoln and the technologically breathtaking 2009 Lincoln MKS. Lincoln, reach higher.
The NBA returns to ABC with the league's two most storied franchises in action. First, the Truth and the NBA champs take on Dirk Nowitzki and the Mavs. Then Kobe and the Lakers face off against familiar foe Tim Duncan and the Spurs in a West Finals rematch. Mavs Celtics and Spurs Lakers tomorrow on ABC.
Welcome back to the Dick's Sporting Goods Halftime Report.
Brian Bird joined by Duke alum Jay Williams and Maryland alum Adrian Branch. Their two schools hooking up today. And not much of a contest, guys. Minute 30 to go. Duke already led by 20. Gerald Henderson's been money.
Well, I think what we saw today was an extension of Coach K's revived passion coming back from the Olympics. The kids have an extra pep in their step, and when they pass the ball like this, they're a dangerous team.
That dunk made it 58-20. Maryland just no answers, Adrian.
Yeah, you know what? They played bad. They turned the ball over, and Duke was going to help them stay bad. They did that by speeding them up and turning them over. It wasn't a contest today.
A 41-point loss for Maryland, who falls to 2-3 in the ACC. Baylor and Oklahoma, two ranked teams from the Big 12. Only one team, however, would have Blake Griffin.
Oh, I love his game. Look at the soft feet, the soft hands. Big time say hello because he's going #1 in the draft there, Jay.
I mean, how many double-doubles does this guy have to get before we just give him Player of the Year? I mean, he's already had 16.
In the second half, it would be more Blake Griffin. Nice pass to his brother Taylor. Taylor had a very big game as well as the Griffins single-handedly beat Baylor. 95-76 your final, 20 points and 17 rebounds for Big Blake. Our game has been a dandy. Derrick Brown flying through and throwing it down is a 1-point game at the half. We're back with the Battle of Tennessee after the break.
This halftime report is presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's. This halftime report is presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's.
Ryan Burr, Adrian Branch, and Jay Williams. Pac-10 action, UCLA on the road at Washington. And don't look now, but here come the Huskies. This is the freshman Drew Holiday to Josh Shipp for the layup. Bruins led by 1. Score tied now, Quincy Poindexter. Washington so good at home, guys.
Well, they were able to knock it down. They were able to knock down shots, and Isaiah Thomas looked amazingly well. But for UCLA, only one guy in double figures, and that was Josh Shipp with 25 points.
Yeah, good point. A little over 4 to go. No, Justin Denton taking it over. The tough floater in the lane, and Washington upsets UCLA 86-75. Battle of Tennessee. Number 24, Memphis, taking on the Vols. Lane Kiffin introduced before the crowd. He's the new head football coach. Under 3 to go now. Tariq Evans, the freshman, really starting to come on.
Yeah, but look at the score here, guys. 53-52. That means they were playing some defense on both sides of the ball.
Same score under 10 seconds to go now. Tyler Smith in the lane, off the rim, and no. Memphis gets possession. Tariq Evans would go to the free throw line. He'd make 1 of 2. One final shot for Josh Tabb. Gets a pretty good look at it. Does not go, and Memphis survives. They win at Tennessee 54-52. Some other scores, Arkansas, tough team to figure out, wins over Oklahoma and Texas, but they are now 0-4 in the SEC.
Yeah, that's right. You have to be consistent. You don't know what you're going to get. You have a huge upset, then you're expecting another performance like that. Falling flat, it's a headache.
We said you have to win those games you're supposed to win. Arkansas has to be Auburn. They have a RPI of 106. These are games you have to win, Ryan, every night.
Absolutely. The teams that go to the tournament don't have those glaring weaknesses on their schedule. Now Arkansas has one for sure. Our game is a dandy at the half. Xavier and LSU. It is a 1-point game at the break. Back to Louisiana after this quick timeout.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Chevy, an American Revolution.
So our score, the homestanding LSU Tigers 37-36 over the visitors from Cincinnati. And I'll tell you, Xavier has come in here. They have played hard and tough, 10-point lead. And the Tigers said, hey, you know, we've got a little resolve ourselves. Folks, we had 9 times the score was tied, 4 lead changes. And the fellow by the name of Thornton has really been mystical for the LSU Tigers.
Marcus Thornton, homegrown Baton Rouge youngster, went away to junior college to East Texas. And he is one of the best scorers in the SEC. And boy, did he give Trent Johnson's team a lift in that first half with 14 points. Also gives him a lot of confidence. And he's starting to work on that defensive end for Trent Johnson. And that certainly is going to go a long way to deciding this game, Ron, who plays great defense in the next 20 minutes.
So the Tigers will go on offense first. That's Spencer outside. Spencer playing with 2 fouls. Deep in the corner, 3-pointer. Guess who? Marcus Thornton.
Right on cue. This guy's had 6 games of over 30 points in just a little over a year here in Baton Rouge.
Tried for the steal, missed it. Brown, the left-hander, swishes a high arcing 3-pointer. And the junior out of Dayton quieted the crowd for the moment.
Ron, he's really worked on that. When he came to Xavier a couple of years ago, all he could really do is dunk and score near the basket. Just goes to show you how the Xavier program is about developing players. Good matchup.
Temple. Mitchell, nobody blocked him out. Takes it up hard. And the whistle on the foul will be against Xavier.
Tasman Mitchell, who missed all last season. In fact, Coach Johnson said if he didn't get hurt, John Brady still may be coaching. But Tasman Mitchell, former high school All-American, really pounded inside. Well, you got 2 starters, Ron, that played in the Final Four as starters in Temple and Mitchell.
Trent Johnson called Marcus Thornton over for a couple of seconds to visit with him before that first free throw was shot. Mitchell with the second on the way switches that one. It's LSU with a 3-point lead. Brown, lob pass inside. Nice dish to the weak side, and Love jams it home.
Great look by C.J. Anderson, who really is, if there's a guy that gets you to low post points, C.J. Anderson. That time he attacked the basket, brought the help, and Jason Love, the recipient of an easy basket.
Johnson along the baseline.
Derrick Brown put his hand on Johnson's face, and Johnson said, I can still see. I don't know if we'll have to worry about the windshield wipers.
Inside Anderson, a piece of that one as the block came up, and here comes LSU. Temple. Well, I think you can tell by the reaction of the crowd. Okay. The Tiger fans are not happy.
Oh, did you see that, Ron? He had his hand on his face. Wow.
Love had the ball knocked away. Caswin Mitchell got it. Spencer. In and out, unlucky. Love rebound. Three-point lead, LSU.
I don't think scrappy was a word that you would have described LSU as in the past, but they are very, very tenacious on the defensive end.
Brown, that high arcing three-point shot. It seems like it's in slow motion. It moves with such ease and grace through the air.
You're right. In fact, if you're LSU now, you got to make him a driver.
18 points for him. He is 3 of 4 from beyond the arc. Quickly into the middle, whistle and a foul as Marcus Thornton trying to make something happen, and he went to the floor hard.
When you watch the video of this game as both coaching staffs, you may complain a little bit about defense, but there have been some excellent offensive plays today. You take a look at Marcus Thornton going in traffic, drawing contact, getting a chance to shoot a couple.
First foul on Derrick Brown for Xavier. Freeze, and Jackson will check into the lineup. Going to the bench, Raymond and Love as they get a quick breather. We played just over 3 minutes in this second half, and everybody breathing pretty hard. This is a heck of a pace. It was in the first 20 minutes.
And you see the confidence Sean Miller has in his freshmen, Holloway and Freeze.
Boy, 9 times we were tied. 4 times we had lead changes. That in the first half. Back into the corner, left alone. Jackson in and out, not there. Rebounded Brown, and he will throw it back out on top. Holloway and Anderson were already prepared to go into transition defense. They had to come back across midcourt.
That's good coaching and good defense. I think right now, if they can get the big freshman inside, Johnson's got 3, I believe.
He does. You're exactly right.
See, they didn't do this at the end of the first half. I was trying to get Johnson to pick up another foul.
Holloway. And I think that is going to be a foul on Spencer. If it is, well, we'll wait and see. Yeah, that's his 3rd.
See Holloway able to get into the lane. There's the help. And then a little bump here by the sophomore Spencer. Easy call, but if you're Spencer now, you got to be very delicate because Trent Johnson does not want to lose him.
Trent is up and is taking a long look at the situation. Here's Freeze. Missed only 1 shot in the first half. Yes. 4 of 5, and now making 5 of 6.
See, Ron, you know if you got a guy with 3 fouls, he's going to provide very little resistance. And that's a quick 10 for the freshman from Massillon, Ohio. Got that football mentality.
Spencer off the mark, well off the mark on that one. Jackson open on the wing, decides to drive it on the baseline, lost it out of bounds, turnover Xavier. Timeout. 15:39 left in our ball game, and it is Xavier leading by 1. Let's take another look at Johnson. Basketball lost a super friend today, and I don't mean just women's basketball, I mean men's basketball as well. Kay Yao finally lost a battle to breast cancer. Kay, 37 years a head basketball coach. She had currently been the head coach at North Carolina State, and she is the daughter of a basketball coach, so she came from a family with a love and respect to the game, and she always, even in her fight with breast cancer, she had that same kind of attitude, and with love and respect for the game that she had, so many people had a lot of love and respect for her as well.
Well, you've always heard me say, Ron, coaching is not about X and O's or recruiting. It's about how you handle adversity, and she was a walking, talking example of that in these later stages of her life.
Quentin Thornton, first 2 points for him. I'll tell you, he had some tough battling to do against the freshman Freeze, the 7-footer inside.
Thornton was an afterthought a year ago, but he's among those guys that continue to buy into what Trent Johnson has brought to this program. A toughness. See him working the freshman.
Tell you what, though, Quentin shot is off the mark, rebounded by Marcus Thornton. But the freshman has already learned how to use his physical tools, his size, and gaining position very well. Foul McLean, you can see, just absolutely ran over Tasman Mitchell. Anderson will come back into the lineup, as will Derrick Brown. And McLean will come to the bench. And hustling off the floor, Jackson. Dante, a sophomore out of Greenfield, Ohio. And as we mentioned, started the first 11 games of the year for the Musketeers at point guard until they thought that Terrell Holloway, the freshman, was ready to go. Whistle away from the ball.
That's a great example right there what Trent Johnson talked to his team about yesterday. He said, Xavier will be very physical with you, so you must cut with force. And Marcus Thornton getting the message.
Falling away with a long three, not there. Mitchell with the rebound. Can't get it, and I mean an absolute war inside for the rebound. And it looks as though that foul is going to be on LSU's Quentin Thornton, the senior out of Orlando, Florida, by way of Odessa College. It's his first.
Ron, how many times today have you seen Kenny Freeze at 7 feet 260 just stick his hand straight up in the air and force the offensive player to shoot over him without him leaving the floor?
That's going to be Quentin Thornton again with the foul.
Take a look at this, Ron. Watch the big fella now. Hand straight in the air. Doesn't violate that principle of verticality.
No, that's what I was going to commend you with, and the fact that to notice that principle of verticality, it takes some players a long time to learn.
You got a little wrestling match inside there. I had a chance to see Xavier in November, and they won a lot of games down there, beating Virginia Tech, Missouri, and Memphis with just toughness. And this is going to be a great test for LSU down the stretch. How tough are they against a team that knows how to win?
LSU 1-point lead, 47-46. Inside of 14 minutes. Spin move inside, and a nice offensive play. B.J. Raymond, 7 points for him.
Another great look by C.J. Anderson, who actually is now the point guard from the low post.
Ball is tipped, and it goes out of bounds. Touched last by Xavier. Freeze is going to come out of the ballgame. He'll go to the bench, as will number 52, Terrell Holloway.
One of the things I've seen Sean Miller do this year, Ron, whenever he can, he runs people in and out, but he'll get his best defensive players in the game on the defensive end. Guarantee you, if they have the ball down there with a dead ball, you'll see Kenny Freach come right back.
Martin, three-pointer, in and out, unlucky. Jackson rebounds, and the Musketeers will push it. Now to reach in, and the foul on Terry Martin. Big Monday continues on ESPN. First of all, 7 o'clock Eastern, Marquette and Notre Dame. Then the second game of the doubleheader at 9 Eastern. Number 5 Oklahoma against Oklahoma State. And that, of course, is the Bedlam Series. And the first time for Travis Ford, the new head coach at Oklahoma State, to participate in a Bedlam Series game.
Hey, Ron, if you have never seen Oklahoma State on TV, of course, we get a chance to get there in person. What an unbelievable rivalry.
You know, it really is. And, you know, Travis is a longtime friend. I'll tell you right now, partner. You think you know what it's about. You don't know yet. Wait till Monday night, then you'll know what it's all about. Don't you agree?
Oh, I know. And I had a talk with him in the fall. We talked about his small team, and I said, boy, you're going to have trouble guarding Blake Griffin. You know what he said to me? We'll figure something out. Very confidently.
Spencer on the run. Tough shot. Couldn't get it to go. The bottom side not there. And Love grabs down the rebound. Musketeers by 3. Jackson back out on the wing. On the run. Ball knocked away on the floor. Touched last by LSU. 23 seconds on the shot clock.
I'll tell you, this has been a fun ball game since the opening ball was tipped into the backcourt to the Musketeers, and they went on offense first.
Little picket fence action.
Off the mark, would not go. And I think that maybe Redford, the freshman, feeling the jitters a little bit on the road here tonight. To complete my thought on him, he's only 6 feet. And I talked about Frankenmuth, how small the high school is. He used to get doubled and tripled because he was like the largest player they had. So he said, I had to learn how to shoot further outside. Thus, he became a better outside shooter. How tall would you say he is now?
I'd say he's 6'1", and he averaged, as you mentioned, 36 points a game in high school. I find it amazing he made 102 straight free throws in games.
Quentin could not get it to go. Very unlucky on that shot. LSU has not had a field goal since the 15-16 mark. Inside, and a foul is going to be called on Love. The official says there was no love in that move, and he picks up the foul.
Trent Johnson is going to love the way his team has battled. You mentioned that 10-point deficit early. And he's trying to build a culture of toughness. Of course, he had great success at Stanford. First head coaching job at Nevada. Took the team to the Sweet 16. Look at that quick double.
Oh, I'm telling you. There,
that's well coached.
Lightning quick. Back on a skip pass to the other side. Up and over the backboard. It will be Musketeer basketball. We have 12:07 to play. 50-47, Xavier. Holloway and Brown come back into the lineup. Jackson and Anderson will go to the bench.
When I was looking at teams during the summer, Ron, and I realized that LSU had so many solid players back. The point guard situation was a little shaky at the time. Spencer has filled the bill. But Trent Johnson has brought a confidence to this team I think is really going to help them.
Inside, he found himself open, but didn't want to take it up among the trees, so Redford passes it off. Shot clock is under 10. Love, turn around, got it. Wow, talk about a friendly shooter's roll.
Jason Love has averaged double figures in the A-10. When I talked about the offense-defense platooning, he used to be a defensive weapon, and that's changing.
I couldn't tell who got the block. I thought that Holloway was closest to it, and a whistle and a foul from behind, and that's going to be on Quentin Thornton, and I believe his third. Well, let's take a timeout and watch the bodies flying. This game has really become physical. 5-point lead, 52-47, Xavier.
It's a colossal ACC matchup on Wednesday Night Hoops.
Are you kidding me?
With an arsenal of weapons, Duke is once again among the nation's best. Waiting in the wings is Wake Forest, still reeling from a stunning upset.
Hey, the big question, can Duke's stifling defense contain Jeff Teague, the scorer whiz of Wake Forest?
Two of the ACC's finest collide on Wednesday Night Hoops, presented by Disney Parks. Duke Wake Forest, 7 p.m. on ESPN.
It'll be awesome, baby.
Brian Burr checking out the ESPN family of networks. Over on ESPN, it is the X Games men's snowboard superpipe elimination round, X Games 13. And, of course, following us on ESPN2, the Australian Open. And we all know Fran has his tennis racket packed on this road trip and probably played this morning. Ron?
All right, Brian, I'll tell you what. I don't know about him, but
You're the tennis guy.
I was a tennis bum for a long time until my back finally said no, no, no. And but I'll tell you, that's been a fun tournament, and always is the first major of the year. The Australian Open. Timeout called by Sean Miller. He says, hey, let's don't lose the ball on a turnover here. So we'll take the break with him. 11-17 left, 52-47, Xavier.
Brian Burr with your Sports Center right now. Game of the night over on ESPN was UConn and Notre Dame. Craig Ostry for 3. It was a 1-point game at the half. In the second half, UConn really turned it on as they win 69-61. Notre Dame's 45-game home winning streak is done. 20-game home Big East winning streak is done. Sports Center follows the X Games on ESPN.
So we are back. 52-47, 5-point margin. The Musketeers on top. About to go to 11 minutes left in our ball game. Redford. Over to Freeze. A couple of true freshmen.
You watch both teams out of the timeout. They're both very well coached. LSU knows exactly what Xavier wants to do. Now it's up to Xavier to execute versus good defense.
Holloway looks over the clock. 7 seconds. Down to 6. Now 5. Brown tries to get it lined up for the left-handed shot. Too hard. That would have been a shot clock violation had they rebounded and not gotten it back up. They didn't touch iron on the shot.
Remember I mentioned earlier, Derrick Brown, you want to chase him off the three-point line. That's exactly what they did.
Spencer at the other end. Redford looks into his eyes. Mitchell in and out. Did everything but go down. You hear the groan from the crowd. Raymond. Strong to the hoop. It was blocked, and then the body. They made contact, and Garrett Temple, the senior out of Baton Rouge, just picked up his 4th foul.
Now that's a
Second,
big foul.
I beg your pardon.
You see Temple playing cat and mouse here. Garrett Temple, young man whose father had mentioned Collis was a great player here, his older brother as well, and considered one of the best defensive players, not only in the SEC, Ron, but around the country.
You know, just like his father, quite a workhorse. You have to put that by his name because has started before tonight 114 games as you look at his father. 115 with this one tonight. That's a lot of college basketball.
And big games. I mentioned Mitchell and Temple both started in the Final Four for LSU. That's a big baby.
Screen out high just enough to get Temple open. And again, LSU looks as though they're on the money with a shot, and the ball rims out. Holloway has it blocked. And that was Quentin Thornton who got back at the other end on the run. 3-on-1, missed the reverse shot. And he'll go to the line for a couple. That's Marcus Thornton.
Boy, Bo Spencer really put pressure on the defense that time. Good outlet pass to the sophomore point guard, and he motored up the floor. And you know, Ron, when you throw it ahead to Marcus Thornton, he's got a scorer's mentality. He's not going to mess around and try to avoid contact. He's going to take it right to the basket, right to the defender.
You know, the biggest compliment that I heard him pay today is he gets the first shot to go down. they talked about such an unbelievable change in him. It used to be shoot first, think later. Not that way anymore.
He's actually giving Trent Johnson an effort on the defensive end as well.
That's the only way you're going to play for this guy, isn't it?
I like Marcus Thornton. I've talked to some NBA scouting buddies of mine who really think that he's going to end up late first round, early second.
He's got 20 points now. 4-point game. Excuse me.
Yep, he's not one of those guys that people talk about very much.
That's going to be Jackson. Dante Jackson, it's only his second.
You know, as I look out here, Ron, we know how important this game is to LSU because they need a big RPI win. But this last 9 minutes for LSU is about toughness. We know Xavier and what they bring to the table and how their program's been built, but this is exactly the spot you want to learn from.
What a spin move, and then he missed the layup. Oh, my goodness. Anderson.
That's good D right there.
Anderson lobs it inside. Here's Love. Now Quentin Thornton, this is a good move. Quentin is playing with a load of fouls. Shot clock is at 10. Here's Brown. Strong to the hoop. Scores with his right hand.
It's a terrific move, and if you're guarding Derrick Brown, you want to try to get him on his right-hand dribble and not give him the alley to the basket.
Now he's got 20 points, just like Thornton has. Thornton. Nope, not there.
See, right now, I think LSU is taking a few too many quick shots. This is toughness also. How you run your offense is about toughness as well.
Inside, and the left-hander misses a layup, but the rebound by the Musketeers and a foul. Boy, 32, that's foul number 4 on Quentin Thornton. Well, remember, Derrick Brown is a lefty, and you could see how smoothly he put it up with his right. Of course, any accomplished player at this level in college basketball uses either hand equally as well.
You'd be surprised, Ron. There actually are guys that don't, and Derrick Brown's an example right there. If you're the LSU defender, you jump on that left hand and you force him to the right, and believe me, he goes 70 miles an hour to the left, about 45 to his right.
That's a coach's observation. Yes. That's a great observation.
Anderson swishes it. Now you got to be careful if you're LSU. All of a sudden, they've gone from a plus situation to being down 7. The clock is about to turn under 8 minutes. And that clock starts going downhill on you in a hurry if you're trying to make up a lead like this against the tough ball club. 7:05 is the drought by the Tigers. They've gone to the free throw line, but they have not hit a field goal.
They've lost a little bit of confidence in their half-court offense. A little bit too much now. Breakdown.
Well, again, they're going to go to the free throw line, but they are 0 of 10 from the field. And as I said, at least 3 of those shots, if not 4, you could hear the crowd just groan. Actually, as I did, I thought the ball was going down and came right back out.
It also speaks, Ron, to the toughness of a team like Xavier. They're number 13 in the country for a reason. And credit them for going on the road in the middle of their conference race. Sean Miller, you go back to Thad Mata, Skip Prosser, Pete Gillen. They have always played great non-conference schedules. Very much like Gonzaga, Memphis, now Butler.
Pays off at tournament time, too.
Yes, it does.
Did for him last year. Thornton got the second one. 56-50 as we go under 8 minutes in our ball game.
See, make him use his right hand. There you go.
And he lost it out of bounds. Just what you were observing. Let's take a timeout. 7:50 left in our ball game, and let's check back in with the studio.
All right, Ronnie, just a reminder, up next on ESPN2, it is Australian Open in action tonight. Andy Roddick, the first major of the year. We head down under after basketball in the Deuce.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by the most critically acclaimed Volkswagen ever, the all-new CC.
Welcome back as you look at Mike the Tiger pacing the stage today. Well, tomorrow the NBA on ABC continues in the afternoon. Coverage begins 12:30 Eastern. GMC NBA Countdown. 1 Eastern, it's the Mavericks and the Celtics. At 3:30 Eastern, the Spurs take on the Lakers. The NBA on the 88 Sunday. In our ball game here in Baton Rouge. 10 times the score has been tied, and 7 times lead changes. Looking at a couple of friends who we visited with at halftime. Way outside with a free, not there. Trying to break that field goal scoring drought. Spencer, strong to the hoop, had it blocked.
Good, solid defense inside. This is a long Xavier team.
They are 0 of 12 in this drought, which is now nearing 8 minutes.
I think when the LSU watches the tape, they're going to see a little bit of the quick shooting.
Oh, that is tough right there. Now it's a 9-point deficit, and we've got 7:10 left to play in the ball game. Plenty of time, but somebody's got to break this icy situation and shots from the field.
You see how Xavier gangs up on every white shirt.
Ball tipped. They try to save it between the legs on the save, and it comes back to Love. And Holloway dribbles back into the middle and out on the wing. Brown wanted the three-pointer, passed it up.
That's good. You got to make him put the ball on the floor, preferably to his right hand. He's become too good a shooter. I never thought I'd say that about him, but he is.
Well, those 2 that he got back-to-back tonight, he just took his time, and like I said, it looked like he was in slow motion.
Yeah, to his credit, because he's really worked on that.
Shot clock is at 5, down to 4. Holloway looks up, falling away, a 3, not there. Love battles for it and taken away by LSU. Marcus Thornton. Inside, Johnson, he got pushed, and he gets the jump hook, and there is the field goal. First time that they've scored a field goal since the 15-16 mark, and we're at 6 minutes even right now.
And now they need a stop or 2. They've got to rebound the ball, see if they can get out and get an easy one, but then grind their half-court offense.
Holloway for 3. Rattles it down.
That's a freshman, Ron.
This equals the largest lead of the night by the Musketeers. Back in the first half, they led by 10.
How many times have you heard me talk about a culture of toughness? Xavier has that. Mention the freshman Holloway. Take a look at the inside out. Good kick out by Derrick Brown. Good closeout. A nice challenge by Spencer, but good rhythm shot by Holloway.
Johnson at the free throw line. Redford will come back into the ball game. Coming out is B.J. Raymond. Talk about that, the toughness issue, that a culture of toughness. How do you get it, or how do you create it?
Well, you know what? You got to have high character guys, usually coming from great high school programs, who know how to win. And that's what Xavier has had through the years.
Mitchell. Points for him, and it's 62-54.
And how about Xavier? 3 freshmen on the floor. Look at that.
Freeze, walk, got away with it, finger rolled it home.
That's the kind of confidence. Want to know how to build a culture of toughness? Put 3 freshmen on the floor in this situation and force them to execute their offense.
So a timeout is called by the LSU Tigers. Just under 5 minutes to play, and it's back to a 10-point margin, 64-54.
Little breakdown here. Good high pick and roll by Xavier. Holloway comes off that screen. The big fella heads right to the rim. There he goes. And a good look. You see the defense is sort of out of sorts. And a great head fake. That's very, very good patience for a freshman, Ron. Ron, when you're a guy that doesn't jump high, everybody is going to bite on every one of your fakes. He understands that very well. The little pump fake and the easy layup.
I asked today if he played high school football, because obviously the high school that he comes from has a lot of folks who played in the college ranks. And they said, yeah, he did play for a couple of years, but he decided the way he grew that he wanted it to be basketball. So Massillon is a great program for football, but he's proving they're a great program for basketball as well.
Well, when you play basketball in that part of Northeast Ohio, a lot of times you'll play against football players just looking to get some exercise in the winter. Chris Spielman was one of those guys.
Mitchell couldn't get it. Comes back, jump hook. Not there. It's going to be Freeze who will pick up the foul. Freeze pleads his case, saying I was being knocked down. The official was standing right there and said, no, you're the one who picked up the foul. It's his second.
Hugh Thornton, one of those guys that Trent Johnson has grown to really trust. The senior gives him that toughness we talked about.
Well, double bonus now. 10 fouls against the Musketeers. Misses the first one.
You see how easily Sean Miller keeps rotating fresh bodies in the game. And we always use that cliche by the middle of the year, a freshman is no longer a freshman.
I mean, it's a great point. They're not, are they? Second one. Quiet in this building. Hoping that big Quentin Thornton can get at least one of those, and he does. 64-55, Xavier. Remember, the only teams that have beaten them this year, Butler and Duke. Along the baseline. Boy, that is tough and well earned by C.J. Anderson.
He is the best player they have at attacking the basket off the dribble.
Well, yeah, I was told today, heart and soul.
Yes, he is.
You elected one captain that he would be the guy.
You know what Sean Miller calls him? The strong voice.
Got it. Nice friendly roll there by Thornton.
Well, if you're LSU now, you got to get some stops.
22 points. Marcus Thornton.
Against a really good defensive team as well, Ron. Credit the senior.
That ball is tipped. Nice job by Marcus Thornton. Created a turnover. Spencer comes down, looks over at the bench. Trent Johnson is up and holds up the number of fingers for the play to let him know what he wants to run. And it's along the baseline, had an opportunity for a three-point play. He'll go and shoot free throws, but he went down very, very hard. So we have hit the back of the head. So as we go to break, we'll take another look at what I was talking about. Watch Marcus Thornton working against Jackson, and he goes down and lands right on his back.
Ryan Burr in the studio. Let's update Texas A&M. Damian James on the flush. Longhorns looking good now, up 57-46 on A&M. And just a reminder, up next, it is the Australian Open. That's Roger Federer with the Just Do It shirt, striped shirt. There he is. Number 2 seed in the Australian Open. It follows us on ESPN 2. Back to Ron and Fran.
Okay, Mr. Federer, one of the really nice guys as far as professional athletes. And, of course, he's sitting up there with Pete Sampson, some really high cotton numbers as far as the winner of majors.
You know, I could see those two old-time former basketball players, Kay Williams and Adrian Branch, when they're up in Bristol and they have a little off time going out onto the tennis courts of Bristol and knocking that ball around. Adrian, a long lefty, you know.
Second one on the way, he got it. I'll tell you, shooting percentage in the second half because of that long drop. Only 25% shooting for the Tigers, 10% from beyond the arc.
I think that's a combination of outstanding defense and probably a little bit of impatience by LSU. in that half-court offense.
Marcus Thornton now 25 points in the ball game. 66-59. Lost it and then lost it out of bounds. It'll stay with LSU.
This might be the biggest possession of the game for LSU. A chance to go from 7 to 5 or 4. They've gotten the requisite stops now to get back in this game. Another basket as well, Ron. You get this Pete Maravich Assembly Center rocking and rolling. Boy, good defense. They just pack it in. Really protect the lane well.
When a guy named Marcus comes close, they shut it down. Couldn't get it inside. Almost stolen by Marcus Thornton on the floor. And LSU, did they take it away? Yes. And a foul is going to be called on Derrick Brown.
And you see exactly what I was talking about. Look at this crowd. And Ron, that's toughness. This is hustle and toughness. Something Trent Johnson is bringing to Baton Rouge. Look at that effort.
4 fouls on Derrick Brown. Free throw on the way. Spencer gets the first. We have a 6-point ball game. 2:38 left in regulation. Crowd gets very silent. Spencer misses the second one. I think LSU did a good job of trying to cherry pick on those misses. Spencer against Holloway.
Want to play good defense right now, but do not bail Xavier out with a cheap foul.
Along the baseline, whistle and a foul.
That's experience right there. B.J. Raymond, a senior from St. John's High School in Toledo. That's how you draw contact right there. Took it right at Marcus Thornton. Thornton was not quick enough to get out of the way.
You know, B.J. Raymond actually is the guy, they call him their big shot guy. Because in the history of his being there, if somebody gets the ball, it's him, and he has come through with it. Free throw knocks this first one down. 7-point lead.
Well, you're exactly right. Just think back to a year ago in the Sweet 16, his big threes against West Virginia.
Yeah.
Played on a great high school team with Zach Hillsland from Notre Dame.
Well, they proved our point right there with those 2 pressure free throws. It pushes it back to an 8-point margin. Clock about to go under 2 minutes to play here in Baton Rouge. Xavier trying to prove why they are ranked number 13 in the country. Thornton falling away.
Nothing you can do about it. That's great defense and a big-time shot.
5-point ball game. 1:45 left to play. Raymond strong to the hoop, and he comes through again.
B.J. Raymond, Ron, was the 9th man as a freshman, then he was the 8th man as a sophomore. And I know you've heard this tune before, but when you play at Xavier and you work at your game, you are going to get better and become a step-up guy.
You know, it's interesting. On the last 2 possessions, he's the guy that said, give me the basketball, drove the lane, went to the free throw line, and then picked up on another drive.
Well, let's watch Marcus Thornton first. Watch how quick this release is. Raymond is all over him as he knocks it down. And you asked me, Ron, about the culture of toughness at Xavier. This is the guy, B.J. Raymond, played in a great high school program for a very good high school coach. A lot of these guys come from programs where they've been well coached. They know how to work. They know how to win.
I'll tell you, the officials have come over here, and what they're checking on is Marcus Thornton's shot just a moment ago to see if it was a 3 or a 2. And in fact, we have an opportunity as they watch. We will look ourselves. No, he's behind the arc. Don't you think?
And more importantly, that's great court geography by Marcus Thornton, knowing where he is.
Yep, that was a 3-point shot, but both of these coaches have to appreciate these officials, wanting to make absolutely sure that they get it right.
You know, it's been this has been what you said earlier. This is like an NCAA game, well coached, well officiated. Teams have played really hard. I'm impressed with LSU, Ron, and the job that Trent Johnson has done. But you also, when you watch Xavier, you understand why the program has been successful for the last quarter century.
Ron Franklin, Fran Fraschilla, coming to you from a jam-packed house. And the house is Pete Maravich Assembly Center on the campus of Louisiana State University. Tigers fell behind by 10 in the first half. Came back to lead at halftime by 1. Then an 11-point lead by Xavier, and right now it is a 7-point margin. Xavier 70-63. And we have 1:34 to play.
Yeah, you don't need a 3 right now. If it's there, you take it. But you got to get a good look at the basket. Get yourself to the foul line. Good defense.
Just be right into the double team, but score a 2-pointer by Tasman Mitchell. He's got 12 points. 5-point game, 70-65.
This will be the last possession, I think, that LSU can afford. Okay, they're going to foul now then. Take their chances, put Anderson on the line.
That's the 3rd foul on him, and it's a 1-and-1 situation. 8th team foul. Check it. Now they say 9 team fouls against the Tigers. Jackson will come in, and coming to the bench is Raymond. And Raymond kind of looked at him and said, "Are you sure me?"
You know, I'm the senior. I'm the senior.
That's right. I'm Mr. Clutch. Remember me?
He won't forget him. He'll be back in quickly. I can guarantee you that. C.J. Anderson, Ron, who started his career at Dratty Gymnasium on the campus of Manhattan College, a place I know well. He had 2 great years for Bobby Gonzalez before coming back home when Bobby left for Seton Hall. What an addition he's been.
Bends the knees, second one on the way, and he got it. Boy, free throw shooting. Let's check the numbers here. For Xavier, it is 12 of 16, 75%. LSU legendary guard Pistol Pete Maravich could make a shot from, well, they said anywhere on the court, and particularly on this one. He was an LSU letterman, 67 through 70, and has the school record for career points, 3,667 of them.
Not only the school record, but the all-time NCAA record as well. And Ron, I'm not coming to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, without getting some seafood gumbo and talking about Pistol Pete.
One of the 3 retired jerseys at the top of the arena, and here's Fran's all-time LSU team. You say who they are.
Well, Chris Jackson, obviously a perfect scorer. Bob Pettit, a legendary player here, and Rudy Macklin, who had such a great career in the late 70s, early 80s. There you see Duran, Rudy Macklin. Took that LSU team to the Final Four in '81. And, of course, a guy named Shaq. Not bad.
No, for sure.
I can't wait. That seafood gumbo is going to be good tonight.
A quick first step, and Thornton just flies by the defender, scores the easy 2, and it's a 5-point game again. And Xavier wants a timeout. Sean Miller says, let's talk it over. We've got 61 seconds left here, guys.
Well, watch this. You know what B.J. Raymond's saying right now, Ron? How come I'm not guarding Marcus Thornton? You better get me back in there. What a great score.
I think that was the last timeout that Xavier had. They just called it, and LSU still has 1 remaining.
You see what Xavier has done on the road. Now, they got blistered by Duke in New Jersey. Also lost a home game to Butler, a very, very good Butler team. But otherwise, they've been perfect this year, 16-2.
Well, here's the situation. Timeout says Xavier has 2. They have 2 or 1. I think they have a 60. And LSU, has a 30. We'll double check it. Thornton's 7th 30-point game of the season. How about that? Well, look who is back in the ball game and going to go to the free throw line. B.J. Raymond.
And we talk about toughness all the time. It's just not just physical toughness, but it's the ability to go on the road, execute your offense, make your free throws, which is something you emphasize. Sean Miller mentioned today at the shoot-around.
I want to tell you what's happening in the arena. The student section just got up and chanted, stand up, and now the entire arena is standing and making as much noise as they can.
And this has been a relatively morbid place the last couple of years. Of course, as you mentioned earlier, first sellout in about 3 seasons. So
second one on the way, got it. Boy, B.J. Raymond has been money. It's the only way to put it. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Marcus Thornton lost it on the floor in the paint, taken away by Xavier, and going to the free throw line again is B.J. Raymond. And an opportunity to put his ball club up by 9. Excuse me, Brandon.
Well, this is a valuable lesson for LSU, who I think is still going to end up at the top of the SEC West, among the couple top teams. But you see what Xavier's got next. Ron, this is why this is an important win for Xavier. It's another resume builder. Charlotte, UMass, Temple, at Duquesne, of course, always going to UB Arena. A tough game and a big rivalry down I-75. But what a great job Sean Miller has done with this program.
Oh, he really has. And you know what? Watching him, you know, he coaches just like he played with tremendous tenacity. Spencer had the ball knocked away and now stolen, and Holloway battles for it, and the freshman says he thought it went off the LSU player. He stepped out of the way, and it's going to go back to the Tigers. And his head coach said it's a great hustle. I don't care.
Now, if you're LSU, you obviously have to score quickly. The fans are filing out, but this will be a good lesson for Trent Johnson's club.
Three-pointer, Bo Spencer.
Press, trap, and foul right away. You know, the former Pitt outstanding guard, the Big East, recruited by John Calipari. As Garrett Temple fouls out, you see what he's done as a head coach. I mentioned his dad, John Miller, a great high school coach.
30-second timeout called by LSU. For those of you who are not familiar with Xavier, of course, they are in the Queen City, Cincinnati. Part of the A10 conference. Enrollment is 6,700, but that is graduate and undergraduate. I'm told that undergraduate probably 4,000 or just a little bit less. And they have had some coaches who have terrific names and have had some great programs up there.
You know, I once asked the late Skip Prosser, a good friend of all of ours, you know, why does Xavier win? And he said, everybody on campus is invested in our success, from the faculty and the academic people.
You feel it there, too,
You
don't
do.
you?
You feel it. They graduate their players. They've got a beautiful arena on campus, and they have done it the right way for a quarter century. Now this is what I mentioned, Ron. This is toughness. You go to the line in front of 13,000 on the road. I used to tell my team, the best feeling in the world is when people start walking up the stairs and you've made that free throw. Everybody's
he's 90% tonight.
Yeah.
That's 9 out of 10, and he's made, what, the last 6 in a row. That shot off the mark, knocked out of bounds last by LSU. So with 30.9 seconds left, it appears the Musketeers are going to get victory number 17 on the year. And I mentioned what we talked about in the first half. The only 2 teams to beat this club is Duke and Butler, 2 very formidable opponents.
You know, it's funny, talking to Sean Miller, he said, Duke beat us like a drum. But now that they're playing so well and they're likely to beat, and they just beat Maryland by 40 today, they'll go to #1 on Sunday night. He said, I don't feel so bad that they beat. Everybody was saying Duke was down this year, and he said they're not down.
Call Gary Williams tonight.
I know.
I mean, truthfully, and your point is well taken as far as the numbers as you get closer to tournament time. I mean, that's the worst day that Maryland's ever lost.
Exactly.
I mean, in conference play.
Well, this is the coaches' poll. Obviously, Wake will drop. And Duke will be #1 likely. Connecticut #2. Great win for Connecticut tonight in South Bend. I think it was a 46-game home streak that's now over.
Yeah, because people kept saying, you know, if Notre Dame could play their whole schedule at home, that they would win the Big East.
Hold it, hold it.
Coming up next, the 2009 Australian Open tennis tournament. More fun for Down Under. Well, the classy thing here is they're going to stand outside and just yo-yo the basketball until the clock runs out. 4 seconds down to 3, and it's going to be a 10-point victory for Xavier. Our final score, the Musketeers of Xavier 80 and LSU 70. For Fran Frischella and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Ron Franklin. Now let's go to Australia for the Australian Open tennis tournament. Good night, everybody, from Baton Rouge.